You consistently bring up advocacy and direct action. And I think this is such an important thing for us to kind of get into, because a lot of churches, not always action, but direct service, right? Folks like to do things, and oftentimes it's to make us feel better, right? But it's like, we're gonna meet the immediate need. We're going to feed people right now because people are hungry right now, which is fine. But then the advocacy piece does something a little different. I would love it if you can just like talk a bit more about how these two things kind of like work together in this context.
Okay. I think the past leaders, because we're standing on some pretty broad shoulders here, those of us who are pastors now in this urban context of Milwaukee, and they were pastors that did both and. I mean, they always did both and they would say, you know, this is your entry point, meaning like, you know, if it's a food pantry or if it's a clothing, you know, wardrobe kind of shelter or whatnot, those are entry points. Remember, we talk about charity, but that is not where we're supposed to stay. That's where we enter. And so if we really want people to have full lives and abundance, then it means here's the hard work. That's the stuff that, yeah, you start to know the people, get the stories, and build relationships. But how do we change their lives so that we're not in this business? Hopefully, we will go out of this business. Right. Because if we do, that means that we're doing the work we're supposed to be doing, which is changing the systems. Right. And, you know, and that's the piece that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but it's the systems that have put us in this direct piece of having to meet the people's immediate needs. But we have to go back and deal with the system so that this doesn't continue to be a generational problem for families.
How has the issue of lead, how has that impacted community members here?
So the Branch family, Deanna, Aiden, and Jaden, it's a mom and her two boys, and Aiden, I think more specifically, was hit more.
Deanna has been telling her story from day one. She knew what was wrong with her son, and she was a strong mother. She still is a strong mother. She stays strong for her son. Amen. She makes sure changes happen for her son.
So we've been talking with other people from your community about the really important work that has been going on, especially with lead. And y'all have your own personal story with that, correct?
Yes.
Would you want to tell me about it?
So my book is called A and the Lead-Free Superhero. I created like a year ago, and I'm glad to make it like my book and about me.
Aiding the Lead-Free Superhero book. It's a book that I wrote and my son illustrated about his experience with being lead poisoned. He suffered, they both were lead poisoned, but he suffered the severity of it. He was hospitalized twice due to the severity of the lead poison in his blood, and he was later diagnosed with a lot of other problems, ADHD, ODD, and other emotional things that were going on.
And I almost died due to the rate of my lead poisoning. But I'm glad I'm still alive in this year.
Yeah, us too.
Me too.
So it was actually Aiden's idea and his beautiful illustrations that really inspired me to write the words that were written to create this book about his experience with lead. He even created his own 3 different characters for lead in the paint, water, and the soil. Those are the 3 main causes for lead exposure in children. It was really Aiden. He felt so welcomed and loved here at the church, and he really wanted me to bring him here. And, you know, Pastor noticed my apprehension, and she just made me feel so welcome and loved here. And she welcomed me to share my story and use my voice. And when I spoke up, I just received so much positive influence, and I heard so many other stories that were just, it was too similar to mine, to the point where I was uncomfortable. So just hearing that I wasn't alone and hearing that other families were going through this, that made me say like, okay, well, we're not gonna let them just keep doing this to our children, we're gonna advocate. And that's really how the Coalition of Lead Emergency and Co-Parents League came about, just parents advocating for the health and the rights of their children, advocating for their community. Working with Cole now, there's still a lot that needs to be done, but it's good that I feel like I'm a part of what's being done, even though I see now that even with all the funding and advocacy we're doing, there's still so much left that we need to do, and it's going to be a long journey.
Yes.
But I'm glad to be a part of it. This is literally the best job I've ever had.